I want to show you how a BRRRR deal can properly be done and show a specific example of one that I just did with all the details on it. So the first thing is we purchased this property February and we purchased it for $320,000. Okay. We got a hard money loan for $420,000 because our plan was to fix up the entire house. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, rambler upstairs, downstairs, and the basement is unfinished. So we were going to come in, remodel everything, finish the basement, do everything else like that. Okay. After we purchased it, so we closed with a hard money lender, just like you would use with Investor's Edge. When we did that, we started looking at the property and we said, is it worth the money we're going to put in the basement? And we said, you know, I don't think so. We're not going to get an ROI. So we basically said, for every dollar we spend in the basement, how much are we going to get out in rents? And the rents weren't going to go up substantially. So we said, you know what? We're just going to remodel the upstairs and make the upstairs nice. So we just did the upstairs remodel, used the money that we had here, but then the rest of the money went down to pay down the loan. So our loan balance was significantly less. So with that, we determined that the rental price of this property, so here you can see purchase for $320,000, $420,000 was the loan amount. $100,000 in rehab is what we've got here. Property improvement escrow agreement that goes through the details of that. Okay. So then in doing the remodel, we did stuff on the outside. We did the bathrooms, the kitchen. We could keep the cabinets, but we did all the remodels on that, on the upstairs, and left the basement the same. Now, before we purchased this property, we got a pre-approval for a DSCR loan. Debt service coverage ratio, and basically said, hey, yes, we would be able to do this property pending nothing crazy happens. So it was a pre-approval. Okay, so we knew what that was going to look like when we were ready to refinance the property. Okay, so now we've got money into the upstairs that we've done, and the appraisal comes back, and the appraisal comes back at $468,000. Okay. 468 with the work that we actually did on the upstairs. So there's a few things with this DSCR. There's a loan to value max, and then there's also a payment max because it can't exceed what the rents are going for. So we rented the property for $2,000 just with the upstairs, not with the basement. And when we looked at it, we were going to get like $500 extra for finishing the basement, but it was going to cost us like $80,000 more. And we started looking at that with the interest rates. It wasn't even going to pay for itself. So the ideal situation is if your new payment on your new loan is equal to or less than the current rents that you're getting. And so to do that, what we did is we got an interest-only loan for 10 years, but a 30-year fixed loan. So this loan is fixed for 30 years. This is not variable. It's not going to go up and down. It's not going to do anything. And I think our rate on this was 6.875, if I remember right, which is about 1 point higher. Yeah, 6.875. So here's the promissory note on the new loan that we got. 6.875 is what our interest rate is. Now, the interesting thing on this is we have 10 years where we pay interest only, and the rate does not change. 6.875 stays the same, stays the same, stays the same. However, after 10 years, it goes into a 20-year amortization, which means my payment is going to go up because now I'm going to be paying money towards principal, but I'm going to be paying that based upon a 20-year amortization. But what I know is over the next 10 years, my rents are going to go up, which is going to make it so I can easily pay for that extra, because one of the things we know, we talk about this quite frequently, is, okay, so in a 20-year period or 10-year period, so let's come back here to 2011, rents were, let's just call it $800, even if it was less than that. So rents in a 10-year period from 2011 to 2021, they were at 800 and went to 1191. So how much did rents go up during that period of time as a percentage? Let's take a look. So we've got 1191, subtract 800, divide that by 800. So it went up 48%, okay, 48%. So if my 2,000 rent goes up by 48%, that's an extra 960 plus the 2,000, okay? So 2,960, okay? And how much is my payment gonna go up? Well, my payment's gonna go up based upon that amortization of paying that off within 20 years. So that would put my monthly payment at $2,326.48. So 590 would be going towards principal. So in 10 years, I'm expecting my payment to be somewhere around $2,325, and I'm expecting my rents to be somewhere around $2,960, which means I'm cash flowing about $600 per month just with that. However, I'm also expecting that the value of the property is going to go up. So if we look at median house prices from 2024, or sure, we can do 2025 to 2015. 289 is what the median house price was. And it is now 410. So we know 410 minus 289 divided by 289. That was 41% increase. The appraisal came in at 468. So times 468. We're expecting it to go up 195,000, 468. So this property is going to be worth $663,000 if it has the same increase as it had in the last. So I've got an asset that's gone up in value. I've got cash flow, and all I had to do was make the acquisition, do the rehab to the upstairs, and refinance it. So then I'm responsible for if there's problems with the property along the way. So I may have to replace a furnace or replace this or that. And I'm not going to have money to do that early on, but in 10 years, I'm going to have a lot of cash flow. And honestly, rents are going to go up sooner than in 10 years. They'll go up in a couple of years. Rents will probably go up in a couple of years. Rents will go up again. It's not like in 10 years, it just goes up all of a sudden. It's going to gradually go up, which is going to start adding to me having cash flow. Because in a couple of years, it goes to $2,200. I get $200 a month, and then I can put that money towards the property itself. But what I'm doing is I'm betting on the appreciation and the rent increase, which is a pretty proven thing when we look at this. Okay, let's talk about the rates. Because this is a DSCR loan, there's a prepayment penalty for 3 years. And it's steep. It's like 5% for those 3 years. Now, I could have paid money to get that down. Basically, what that means is I cannot refinance this property in the next 3 years unless I pay 5% of the loan amount. If that's something you're worried about, I could have paid more money and had no prepay, but I would have had to pay more money up front. What I decided to do is just write that out. But what I'm going to suspect is sometime in the next 10 years, rates are going to come down from that 6.875. And if they do, then I'm going to refinance. And as long as I do that after that 3 years, which I think it'll take 2 or 3 years before we start seeing that, then I can refinance, which will then make my payment even lower, which will then create more cash flow. This is how you do a deal with not a lot of cash. I'm $24,000 into this property, but I've got a property that's currently worth $468,000. I'm $24,000 into that. So even if I had to sell this property, I could, but I've got a machine that's going to increase in value, increase in rents, and eventually we'll start paying debt down after that initial 10-year period. Now, I can pay debt down anytime sooner, but I'm doing that. I'm doing the interest only. It's really imperative. Always get a fixed rate, period. Get a fixed rate, 30-year fixed rate, period, 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 period. However, I'm doing the 10-year interest only, so I pay no money towards the principal because I'm planning on my appreciation going up and I'm planning on my rents going up. So this is the exact deal and the details of a BRRRR deal that I just completed in 2025 in the current marketplace in one of the most competitive states that is out there to do these types of deals, because rents versus what you're into that is pretty expensive. And so this is going to be a great case study as you're looking at how to properly do your BRRRR deals.